Hey guys, welcome back to week 4 of entrepreneurial finance. So, by now, you've clarified your project's purpose, the strategic fit, stakeholder environment, and even begun crafting your funding narrative. This week, we move into structured forecasting, which is one of the most essential leadership disciplines for anyone building, launching, or even stewarding a project. Whether your ILIDP project is financially driven or not, you're now being asked to plan ahead, justify resource needs, and demonstrate clear assumptions, which is the heart of this week's work. This is not just about budgeting, this is about stewarding the vision with integrity. Numbers are how we tell a story of faithfulness, readiness, and leadership maturity. So, the major assignment this week is the financial projection analysis, or if you're in a non financial track, your resource projection and capacity analysis. You're going to select one or two pathways depending on how your ILIDP project is shaped. So, pathway A, the financial forecasting, this is for financially oriented or venture style projects. You're going to choose this path if your project involves launching a business or earned income initiative, expanding a ministry or nonprofit with funding implications, and any work where revenues, expenses, or cash flows are important. So for this path, you're going to create a 3-tab Excel workbook that includes your revenue forecast, what income are you projecting, and over what time frame. For example, monthly tuition, donor pledges, product sales, an expense projection. What are your fixed costs, the staff, the rent, software, and any variable costs per participant or unit sold. You also need summary financials, a simple P&L, cash flow chart, or break-even analysis. And you need to use formulas, not typed in numbers, and include a tab or a section labeled assumptions that explains how you arrived at every figure. You're not expected to be a CFO, but you are expected to think like a wise steward, grounded in reality but led by vision. Pathway B, this is the resource projection capacity analysis, and this is for non financial or research based projects. You're going to choose this path if your project is based in organizational change, curriculum development, research, or ministry design. The focus is on qualitative results like surveys, interviews, discipleship models, or training rollouts. And it's not tied to income, pricing, or funding requests, but the pathway still involves forecasting, but instead of dollars, you're forecasting people, time, access, and effort. Your Excel workbook might include resource needs, which would have hours of staff or volunteer time, training sessions, toolkits, data systems, or operational inputs. What systems or workflows are required, what sequence must occur first, the capacity map. This is a timeline based overview of where bottlenecks, constraints, or stakeholder effort are concentrated. So, the example is if your ILIDP project is a 6-month survey based research initiative, you might map out when participants will be recruited, how many hours are needed for data collection and transcription, and where team availability may affect your pace. The point is to demonstrate that you've counted the cost, even if the currency is time and labor instead of dollars. So, part 2 is an assumptions memo. So, once you've built your projection, or analysis, the next task is to explain your thinking in a 2-page assumptions memo. So this memo will walk your reader through the reasoning behind your model. So if you choose pathway A, the financial forecast, you're going to include your revenue assumptions, your expense, basically how did you estimate your pricing, market size, donations, expense assumptions, how did you calculate staffing, equipment, or other costs, capital and runway, how long will your funds last, when will the new capital be needed, risk and flexibility, what's most likely to change, how will you respond if assumptions shift, and if you choose pathway B, non-financial projects, you need to include operational assumptions. What are your assumptions about timing, task, order, or scope? Uh, Also, resource assumptions. What people, tools, or access do you need, and do you expect them to be available? Contextual factors. Are you assuming cultural buy-in, administrative support, or external stability. Stakeholder assumption: who's expected to show up and participate? Why is that reasonable? Risk and reliance: what is the biggest threat to success, and how can you adjust? So Proverbs 21:5 says the plans of the diligent surely lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. This memo is your opportunity to show diligence in planning, not perfection, but preparedness. So part 3 is your Ask Script peer review. So you'll also engage in a peer review of one of your classmates' Ask Script from week 3. In your feedback, your aim is to celebrate strengths, what is clear, compelling, or aligned, offer 2 to 3 specific improvements. Where could tone, clarity, or structure be stronger? And reflect on alignment. Does this ask reflect both financial realism and spiritual integrity? And you also need to include at least one reference from the ask, one additional scholarly or course source cited in APA format. So asking is both art and theology, and your feedback should reflect that. In part 4, you've got a discussion board post on integrity and alignment. And so this week's discussion post explores the intersection of financial opportunity and ethical boundaries. Luke 16:10 tells us whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. We've all faced moments where we were offered something that seemed good, but it didn't necessarily align with our calling. So in your post, you need to reflect on your financial non-negotiables. What kind of fundings, partnerships, or compromises would you walk away from? Talk about a time you made a small choice that protected your larger mission, how you evaluate the cost of short-term opportunity versus long-term impact, and support your post with at least 2 APA formatted citations from the Ask Scripture or another scholarly resource. So your checklist for week 4, you've got a financial resource projection workbook with at least 3 tabs, formulas, and an assumptions section. You've got an assumptions memo, 2 pages, APA format, and an ask peer review, respond to a classmate, 100 plus words, 2 sources, and a discussion post on financial integrity and alignment, post by day 4 and respond by day 7. So this week is about developing financial intelligence, leadership maturity, and spiritual clarity. You don't have to predict the future. You just have to prepare wisely and with open hands and a faithful heart. Whether you're managing money or managing time, what matters is that your planning reflects purpose for God's glory and the good of others. So let me know if you have any questions or need support this week. I'm here to help, and I'm really excited to see where your vision and scope will go with your financial analysis. Again, I'm praying for you. Just let me know if there's anything you need. God bless.